What is going on, guys? Carson back here with another comic haul. We're going to do an old-fashioned comic haul this time. This time, I got a chance to go to the Indiana Comic Convention. Unfortunately, because of reasons, I didn't get a chance to spend more than a couple hours there, but I think my wallet would agree. I made the most of those couple hours, so we'll go ahead and get started. Why not go ahead and show off some signatures first? Now, I wish I could say I got all these signatures for free. But unfortunately, we now live in an age where it's kind of commonplace to charge for signatures. So my signature getting abilities at these cons is starting to dwindle a little bit. So I guess it's, I guess I should have called it 1,000 maybe, but I'm just too greedy. I had to have some more signatures. So we'll start on top of my signature pile here. I don't even remember what the count is anymore. I've gained some more signatures. I've sold some signed books. The count's just out the window, but hey, we're still over 1,000, I'm pretty sure. We got Punisher #1. I got some Mike Barron signatures on my comics here, so he signed Punisher #1. I was thinking about getting this signed by Klaus Janson as well at C2E2, but I didn't realize, this book's kind of low grade after I was taking out of the bag to get him to sign. I'm like, I probably won't get this double signed, but I'll still think about it. It is a newsstand as well, so got a little Punisher #1. Also got the issue 28 signed. I just like the multiple Doom cover there. Fun story inside, of course, but there's what the signature looks like. And then I at least wanted to get my Flash #1 signed. I had this, I believe this is the copy I've had since I was a little kid. One of the first books I got when I started collecting originally outside of, the reign of the Superman and stuff. So this is one of the easier #1s to find post-crisis. So when I was digging back and trying to get some other things, besides Superman as a kid, this is one of the first books I got just because it was, for whatever reason, the easiest to find of all those post-crisis #1s. So had to get that signed at least. Speaking of post-crisis #1s, or at least very close to post-crisis, I got Firestorm the Nuclear Man to get Pat Broderick to sign that. I always liked Firestorm, so I at least wanted to make sure I got him to sign my issue #1. So there's the signature right there. Once again, newsstand. I love the newsstands here. Probably the biggest comic creator in attendance. Well, they had two, but the one that was charging the most, basically, was Jim Starlin. And I couldn't pass up getting some of my keys signed by Jim Starlin. And luckily, he wasn't one of those guys. I'm like, oh, that's like a big key. I'm going to charge more for it, because there was a few there. I won't name names, but like, oh, cool, Secret Wars 8. Let's charge $30 to sign that. But I had to get my Infinity Gauntlet #1 signed by Jim Starlin. I already had it down here signed by George Perez. I think that was at the final C2E2 he was at. And then there's what Jim Starlin's signature looks like, which I heard a guy complaining when I was looking through the one booth I got a chance to check out. He's just like, well, for that money, you figured he'd sign it better than that. But that's his signature. It is what it is. Got my Strange Tales 180. Decided to get this signed since CGC didn't like it as a 9.2 or higher. I figured that was kind of a sign just to go ahead and get it signed by Jim Starlin. So I got a really high grade, in my opinion, I guess, very fine copy of Strange Tales 180 signed by Jim Starlin. Now, some of these can start to go back on my wall downstairs. We got Invincible Iron Man 55. Had to get First Thanos, First Drax signed. He signed it right there. So would have felt dumb if I didn't at least get the opportunity to get this book signed. So I was happy with that. And then I had to get the Batman 423 signed right there. So very happy with that. And then the last one I got from Mr. Starlin was the Death of Captain Marvel. He signed this one on the inside, actually, in systems with all the copies. It's kind of funny. The guy in front of me, I feel like he had almost the exact same stack as me, so I knew exactly what to expect when I walked up there. So he signed this one on the inside, said it was his favorite thing he ever worked on. So I thought that was kind of cool to hear him talk about. So got all those signed by Jim Starlin. And then I decided to get a few signatures from Mark Bagley, which, why not? He was one of the few that were actually signing for free, just personalizes them. If you didn't want to personalize, he'd charge you like $10. I'm like, these are staying in the collection, so I just told him to personalize it. Plus, I was getting a sketch from, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So to get my life story #1 signed. I might get this one signed by Chip Zdarsky, but I don't think his signature is free anymore, so we'll see. I do like his signature, though. And then he also signed a 375, which I was happy he picked the shiny marker for the shiny cover. So there's some nice glare. So got my 375 sign. I was kind of like, I've met him enough times where like I've gotten my other bigger keys that I want to get signed. Like I'm not a big like Carnage guy, so I don't feel like I need a first Carnage signed by him. I got Ultimate Spider-Man #1 is probably my favorite book he signed. But now at the point, like, well, this is probably my third or fourth time meeting him. So I'm just going to start pulling randos out of my collection. Got Gavin Smith sign a few books for me. Got issue 140 of TMNT. So pretty much, you know, if it's TMNT artist and I have the books, I probably need to go get those signatures. I kind of like, doesn't pop on the camera, but it looks really awesome in person. That he signed it in kind of like that blood red. So there's 140. Actually, this 141 looks really good in black, just like the drool of Leatherhead there. Looks awesome. And then 142, he was doing the sign 3 for free and then charging after that. So maybe I'll take those other couple issues to C2E2. We'll see. I'm just happy to have these 3, though. And then as kind of a bonus, I guess we'll use this to transition into the comics I bought. Luckily, the one booth I had, you guys know me at this point, I'm looking for tons of TMNT, and this guy had like 2 full long boxes of TMNT. And I asked him, because there were like 50% off signs on his wall. And I think I asked about one wall book and it was full price. And I was finally like, okay, so what's 50% off? He just goes, everything else. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to know. So I started making a little stack. I feel like the guy was having the greatest day. And then he saw some people make some stacks finally. And that kind of turned the frown upside down. So I got Swamp Thing number 8. Luckily, I got it for half off. I already have this book, but the main reason I had to pick this book up, and I got it for, I think, an overall $15, which I thought was kind of funny. It came signed, and getting this for $15 was almost cheaper, you know, buying this signature than it was getting some stuff signed at the show. This copy is signed on the inside by Lynn Wein, so I thought that was cool because I have no Lynn Wein signatures in the collection, so I probably should have bought. I think there were a couple other ones they had signed there. But I just picked the best looking one, basically. And I think they might have had the issue number 9 as well, but that one was like triple the price. And I'm like, I'm just happy with one signature. So very affordable copy of number 8. And actually for, you know, that black border, it's in really nice condition too. So I'll have to compare my other copy and maybe get rid of that. I'm definitely keeping this one no matter what, because it's signed. So yeah, it's a signature I didn't have in the collection. So I was very happy to add that. Next up, we got Tales of TMNT number 1. Now, this is kind of like that random middle road between the Mirage stuff, you know, the telltale end of the Mirage era right before the IDW stuff. So Tales of TMNT ran for a very, very long time. So I was happy to pick up this number 1, even though I paid a little more for it than I wanted to. Luckily, it's, you know, half off all the sticker prices on these. I didn't pay $25, luckily, but, you know, I still paid more than $10. So, but, you know, it's not a book. A lot of these are books you don't see every day. And as we go along, like there's some that barely even get listed on eBay or anything. If you just want to try to run film online, it's near impossible. Speaking of run filling, here is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 3, the Image run, issue number 12. I think this is technically the first Venus appearance in the Turtles comic, even though I think it turns out to be a shifter or a clone or something later. I guess but Peter Laird didn't want to use the character Venus in his Image book. Someone insisted, and I don't know. I need to read the whole thing, but so far what I've read, the Image stuff is insane. So I can't wait to dive into this now that I've completed the run, because not only did I find the issue 12, and I got these for like less than $10, so I was really happy about that. I got the issue 17 as well. So this is where you're talking some like really low print stuff. You still got Eric Larson working on the art on the covers. So Larson fans still buy these up too, along with the Turtle collectors. So I was very happy. You know, looking back, I probably should have saw, like, I wasn't even thinking, like, I probably should have just started, if I was in the reseller mode, which I try not to be most of the time, I probably should have saw, like, what issue 20s he had in this, because those are very hard to find, and I think they were all very reasonably priced, especially when you factored in half off. But I didn't want to be too greedy, so I just picked up the 2 to complete my run. Plus, it was cash only, and like I said, my wallet was just like, no more. You've already, that's why we've only been here for 2 hours, so I got issue 17. So that, with these 2, that officially completes the image run 100%. So I'm happy to at least complete one Ninja Turtles run finally after all this time. More run filler. I got this one for $10. I was very happy to pay $10 for this copy of issue number 26. So with issue 26, that puts me 1 book away from having a copy of every printing in the Mirage Volume 1 run. So I think it's issue 40, either 44 or 45. I forget off the top of my head. But it's not even a key. It's just a random book that, you just don't see. He had everything around it. He's missing that one. So I don't know if someone bought it earlier in the show or what, but I thought I was this close from completing it because I found the image ones. I found this one. I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing like, he had the whole City at War storyline, which is like 50 through 62, but he was just missing that one book I needed to finish the run. So when I go to C2E2 at the end of the month, that is definitely going to be high on my priority list, trying to find that book and not break the bank on it, because it's not a key. It should just be like $10 max. So hopefully I can find one more book in this run to complete it. But yeah, I was happy I didn't have to pay like $15, $20 on eBay for this, because once again, great cover, great art, but it's not a key. Here's another rando that you just don't see every day. I don't even know how you would, like, if I wanted to resell, I don't even know how to really price it. It's a TMNT Savage Dragon #1 ash can, the orange version. So 90s ash cans, like, yeah, you don't see them hanging around every day, and I got it for $10. So I swoop these up whenever I see them in the wild. They're just a lot of fun. They remind me of the 90s and, the weird oddities from then. And I was happy to find a TMNT ash can. So love that. We'll save that book for last, because that's a kind of a big boy, in my opinion. We got New Age Comics #1. I actually did not have this in the collection art. I've seen other people show this in their hauls and stuff, but I've never actually owned it myself. I believe this is the first color TMNT. I think it's just like an ad on the back or something. But yeah, this was mixed up with the TMNT stuff. So I'm like, yeah, they're going to sell me on this book. So I had to get that. I got this for $2.50. So I think I'm going to get this signed next, or I guess this month now at C2E2. This is the retailer incentive cover for issue 23. Really cool Dave Watchter cover, and he will be at C2E2. So I'll definitely have to make sure I get a signature on that, because that's a really awesome Splinter cover from Dave on that. So I just bought that mainly for the signature opportunity. Let me get to the comments here. We got Scotty Z70 says, Indiana, did you get Indiana Jones comics? I did not. I think I've sold most of my Indiana Jones comics, actually, which I don't have too many. I got TMNT. This is volume 2, number 2. So I'm starting to try to get into at least collecting volume 2. And this should be a quick completion, hopefully. There's really, I think of all of the runs, this is the one with like 0 keys start to finish. So it's just a matter of finding these comics at this point and not breaking the bank. This is $5. So I figured, why not? I already have the first issue back in the bins there. May as well add the second to it. But I can't remember how long this one runs. I don't even think it makes it past like issue 20. It might be like 14, 15 issues. So I figured, why not start chipping away at volume 2, like, where basically the only difference is it was still with Mirage, but it just went from black and white to color publishing. So need to go ahead and dig into this and see if I can start completing more of the volume 2. But you just got to see them and find them first, because they're all kind of low prints. Probably not as low print run as volume 4. Scotty says, that's ironic. I figured they'd have further adventures of Indiana Jones. It looks some today when I went to the comic shop Myrtle Beach. Yeah, I mean, I've seen them around several times. Actually, like, I was selling at a show last October. It's the only one I've ever sold at. And ironically, one of the first people who walked up to the booth was looking for those Indiana Jones, like, mid 80s comics that came out. And right before that guy walked up, my brother had some for $1 and sold them all for $1 a piece. So they're in demand in Indiana. Who would have thought? We got some of the color classics. I think I'm doing pretty good on getting these color classics completed as well. I just need to put them all together at this point and figure out which ones I'm missing and which ones I am not. I think I probably need maybe the issue 4, if I was going to guess off the top, maybe the issue 3 and issue 4 now. So I got issue 2, and these are $5 a piece, which, I was doing a little research after I bought these, and I'm pretty sure these are, they're going up too. Because at the end of the day, everybody likes their turtle reprints. Everything slowly creeps up a little bit. So I had to get that for $5, and I definitely had to grab this one. I think this might be my biggest actual steal, even though it's not that big of a steal. It's not like it's $100 book or anything. But this for $5. I mean, if you compare the first 6 printings of TMNT, and then the free comic book day versions even gone up. So this one's probably just going to be going up too. But, the completionist in me, I had to have it. So I was happy. Once again, I didn't have to pay $20, $30 for, probably a 2010s reprint. I can't remember. It's IDW, so it had to be post 2011. So really happy I didn't have to, pay up for something that's, within the last decade or so. And then the last one, this is the one I kept going back and forth on, and I found them just it's half off. I never see it in the wild. I may as well just bite the bullet and add this book to the collection. And it's probably not going to mean anything to anybody watching this, except for maybe 1 or 2 big turtle fans out there. But I managed to pick up TMNT Volume 4, issue 28. Now, luckily, I got half off that price tag. And then actually got a little bit more than half off because the guy rounded down because I was paying cash. And he's just I'm not going to dig out a bunch of singles and change. He just rounded the total down about $4 or $5. So luckily, I got this comparatively for a really good price. If I attempted to look this up on eBay, I think there's 1 sold listing in 2024 so far, and maybe 2 other listings total. So to get this book in the wild is pretty. And I consider conventions. I pretty much consider anything not online the wild, I guess. But yeah, I was happy to find this and not have to use online to purchase it. Let's just put it that way. This is the last official TMNT Mirage comic, I think, before the IDW. Can't remember if this ran longer technically than the Tales of TMNT. I'd have to go Google it, basically. I think Tales of TMNT ran longer numerically, but I think in terms of, when these were released, I think Peter Laird was still dropping these into the IDW run. So I think this was the last official one on the direct market. Issue 29, I think it's 29, 30, and 31 are all just ghost books that were sold at cons by Peter Laird himself. So this is a really cool, just for, TMNT historical purposes. And like I said, I think the only other guy I've seen ever show this book, I don't know if who that would have a copy of this. I know it's probably Gene Polly's Peter. I think he's the only other guy I've seen with this book. So I was very happy to be able to add it to the collection and not pay 3 figures for it, because it can sell for 3 figures online. We got Paulo Costa. What is going on? Nice to see you in the chat today. We got Scotty saying hi to Paulo. All right, we're going to move on to some original. Actually, first, I'll show a print I bought. We were talking about Gavin Smith earlier. I actually still need to acquire this cover because I've been getting all the Kevin Eastman covers on my IDW run. But Gavin Smith put this cover out, and he even made a good point, because I was just like, dude, I never got a chance to buy that cover. And do you have a print of it? And he's just like, I do have a print of it, because he stated that this art is probably going to outlive me. It's probably the most, he stated he thinks it's the most iconic piece he will ever produce, whether it be TMNT or anything else. But yeah, I was just like, if you have a print, I'm buying it. He's like, I got a print. So luckily it was $20 for the print poster. So yeah, I figure out where to put this in my house, but I was very happy with this. Now I just need to. My goal is to get the comic and not have to overpay for it. I like to go buy it for cover. So I was very happy to grab that print. All right. So actually, I did have one whatnot purchase that there were 4 artists at Indiana Comic Con, and they were having like a whatnot stream through who we got here, Comics Elite. Which, by the way, I did want to kind of shout out Comics Elite for having maybe the laziest certificate of authenticity I've ever seen. So I'm not even going to read this whole thing, but basically they kept saying everything you buy will come with a certificate of authenticity. So when I think of that, I think it's going to state the name of the artists or writers who have, you know, put their stamp on this book basically, and probably the day and perhaps the location. And this just says, all signatures guaranteed to be original and true by Comics Elite. And some gibberish there, and that's it. So congratulations. You have the most lazy certificate of authenticity I have ever seen. But nonetheless, I thought this was like a fun little grab on their whatnot stream they had. Just some artists there were doing remarks. And they had like a 4-pack remark and a 3-pack from 3 different artists. So this one is from Chris Innit, I believe, did the Invisible Woman down there. They, of course, had to make the joke 60 times. It was blank, like, oh, you wanted 4 invisible women. Here you go. Congratulations. And I'm like, yep, heard that before. And then Cameron Johnson, really cool artist. I think I got some stuff from him on the walls over there, some TMNT, but I knew I was actually very happy with the order these went, because I'm like, I want Chris Innit to do the Invisible Woman, and I want Cameron Johnson to do the thing. I never got a chance to go to the chat to say who I wanted to do what, but it actually worked out perfectly. And then I believe it's Nate Exofer and Lee Exofer, the Exofer brothers. I think they're just Midwest artists who usually they go con from con and do sketch art. Actually got up here randomly. Yeah, this one was from Lee Exofer. He did this Supergirl for me at a Cincinnati Comic Expo a couple years back. So still need to hang that up. Actually, it's been sitting there for years. But I believe he did the Mr. Fantastic, and I'm assuming it was his brother instead of cousin or something, but his brother did the Human Torch there. So thought it was kind of all right. Like, no, I'm not in love with the thing, but I'll probably just throw it on the wall with the other sketch covers. But yeah, I had to shout out, or lack thereof, the COA, or, you know, certificate of authenticity, because I don't completely trust that. All right, let's see what the chat is saying about that. Pilo is saying, I'm still not used to Reed Richards with a beard. Reed not shaving always meant he was spending too much time in the lab. Yeah, that's what I think. You know, lab coat, Reed Richards. He's still got the outfit on under, but he's got his lab coat on over the outfit. And then, somewhere along the line, I don't know if it was like post, like, Johnny Storm getting stuck in the negative zone. I feel like maybe that was the point. Like, he just always had a beard for some reason after that. And I know Secret Wars, Hickman, Reed, he seemed to always have a beard. So yeah, maybe it was a Jonathan Hickman thing, come to think of it. Hey, do that FF thing. He says, guess it's hard to shave with stretchy hair. Yeah, good point. All right. Moving on, we got another piece of art here. This one was from Jim Calafiore. He's done all kinds of work throughout the years, but yeah, he still makes these cons and never really has anybody at his table, at least the last several years. But I actually looked at his Instagram, and he does these warm-up sketches, and he just takes these warm-up sketches and sells them for like maybe $60 to $100 in a binder. I'm like, well, I might as well look through that, see what I, can find. And I finally just asked him, because I was going through and there's a lot of cool ones. I just asked what his favorite was, and he told me. I'm like, yeah, that's my favorite too. So I ended up picking up this Jim Gordon. Got to figure out where to put this one as well. But I actually posted this on the Facebook sketch pricing group, and they actually thought this piece was better than my next one, which I kind of do too. I really like it. Of course, I bought it, so of course I like it. But yeah, really cool Jim Gordon from Jim Calafiore. Definitely have to get a nice frame for this to get put up on the wall. Very happy with that. And then I think we're on the last item. Like I said, we're going to keep this short and sweet tonight. I guess by short and sweet, I mean 30 minutes. Somehow, once again, I've rambled on for 30 minutes. It's a good, successful con when I can actually get something in the sketchbook. So I heard it was really busy at the con on Friday and Saturday. It was a celebrity heavy con. Anyone who's researched Indiana Comic Con, like, it was their 10th anniversary, and they got every celebrity they could get booked for this thing, which I'm usually not big into celebrity signatures. But they got some artists too. So that's what, made me go to the con. Obviously, I got to get my artists, my writers for comics. That's why I like to go to these things. So even though it was a huge turnout, the little artist alley section was still pretty manageable. Like, I walked right up to Mark Bagley's booth. There was only a couple in front of me. So I'm like, why wouldn't I get a head sketch from Mark Bagley? It's still the most affordable head sketch you can get from a reputable artist. So I already had one in the book, which I guess I can go show here in a second. But I left the artist choice. I told him he didn't have to do Spider-Man since I already have a Spider-Man in the book, and he decided to draw the Incredible Hulk. So according to his handler, it was the only one drawn all weekend. I guess he had another Hulk from Saturday, and it was the Red Hulk according to him. This one is, definitely Bruce Banner. So anytime I can get anything from Mark Bagley, I'm very happy with it. So I was ecstatic to get something in my book from Mark Bagley, even though that is the second edition that he has put in the book. So I guess, since I mentioned it, I will show the Spidey again for those who haven't seen it. I got this one in 2010 from him. That's why I'm like, I told him it's artist choice, but I don't want a Spidey because he's already in there. So he's just like, I'd probably do one better. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So I'm happy to already have Spider-Man from him. I didn't need two Spideys in the book. They did have a Venom I almost bought, though, because I guess there was a couple yesterday not yesterday, the Saturday of the con that I guess he did up, and then they wanted it in a sketchbook. They didn't know it, so he just had, he had two on the side for sale, and by the time the Hulk was done, he had sold them both. So I almost decided to at least get the Venom because I'm like, that would look good on my wall. But that would have been another triple figure purchase that I did that, I wouldn't have got some of this other stuff I just showed. But yeah, that does it for the Indiana Comic Con haul. Now I have next week off, luckily, so I'll be able to do some more haul videos and tell you what I've been reading recently, because unfortunately my Tuesday schedule has filled up considerably since I've brought back the Tuesday night live stream. So I'll probably do one last Tuesday night live stream this upcoming Tuesday, and then figure out what day I'm going to try to talk about stuff after that. Because luckily I'm on vacation. I wanted WrestleMania off. I gotta watch WrestleMania, so so I'll be off and for the next 7 days. So I'll try to get some content recorded, some live content like this put up for you guys to enjoy. And I kind of wouldn't mind trying to claim sell at some point. Yeah, thank you, Scotty. He says, hit that like, y'all. I wouldn't mind trying to get some stuff moved out of here before I go to C2E2 and spend all of my money again. So if there's something you're looking for, you have any good ideas, definitely let me know. Until next time, though, newsstand.